Welcome to the American Small Business League podcast. With me is Deddrick Wilmer, running for Congress as a Republican in Texas in the 9th District. Thank you very much for joining me today, Deddrick. How are you?
Doing great, Bruce. Thank you for having me this morning, man. I really appreciate you and honor and blessed to be here today.
Well, likewise. And as you know, we are going to I want to talk about you. I want to get to know all about you and your candidacy, why you're running, the great things you want for your district and for the country and for Texas. And then also thoroughly explain the problem we want to invite you to study, consider, adopt as something to tackle once you are in office. So get me up to speed about you and why you're running and what do you want to accomplish for your district.
Bruce, it's not about Deddrick Wilmer, man. This, almost 50-year journey on this journey called life. It's an opportunity, it's a calling and an assignment to serve the constituents of the 9th District, to be the next congressman for that district, which supports Southern Harris County, Northern Brazoria, and Northern Fort Bend counties. It is almost its own city. It has all different type of economic backgrounds, all ethnic groups. I mean, it is a big pot, is a melting pot, and which truly represent what the Houston Metroplex is a dynamic community, and I'm honored to serve. And currently I'm serve as a director of Harris County, Mud District 248. This serves the unincorporated areas of our metropolitan cities. If it's Dallas, Texas, Austin, San Antonio, and other cities in Texas. So again, Texas is known for government, but we're known for smart government. And I've had the capacity to serve that in the last 4 years. But this comes down to pure common sense. We have to bring common sense back into Washington. Right now, you have both sides, my Republican friends and my Democratic friends, and they all focus on being surrogates of the parties, but they forget about the businesses. If it's from the small businesses that I'm president of Gumbo Lending Group Corporation, been in business for 6 years, but been in mortgage banking for 30 years. So that is a challenge, being a small business. Which is the largest employer of the United States. We employ more people than everyone together. And also, too, it drives the economy. But most important, just focus on not just small business, large business, our government agencies, but direct to the people at their kitchen table and bringing common sense, bringing collaboration, bringing partnership so we can move Texas forward and most important, as well as move America forward.
And who will you have a primary between now and November 26th?
Yeah. There's two individuals that's in the primary, as you know, running for Congress. Sometimes you have all kind of individuals that join in from organizations or whomever. Some folks, unfortunately, they'll make a name for themselves and really never serve a position, never serve the office, and just throwing themselves into a ballot, sometimes to prove a point. But never really have a clear objective. What is that purpose is? Most of the time they're just a surrogate, and we got a lot of those, in government, especially in DC. But someone who runs a business, have a great body of work, but also to who's currently served, who have that experience. Experience matters. And again, of course, the incumbent is Al Green. As we all know, Al Green. And so, and he's been in office for the last 20 years. And, it's time for some fresh ideas, a fresh energy, and a new approach. And again, a way that we can start listening and we can start leading. We do a lot of talking, but very few leading and not enough listening to all. We have to serve all.
When is the primary?
Primary is on the first Tuesday in March. And the general election, of course, is election day on the first Tuesday in November of 26.
After the primary, there'll just be one Republican.
Oh, it just be one. Yeah. Okay. I will be, and I claim this, I will be the nominee for the Republican side going into the general election next November.
And does your district tend to go Republican?
Yeah, it's a plus 25 district. I'm glad you asked that, Bruce. So this district, Al Green went unopposed. So who the individual who won the primary on the Republican side didn't complete their process to be on the ballot for the state of Texas. So Al Green went unopposed. I think a lot had to do with because a lot of folks run the races to prove a point, not trying to win an election. And the reason behind it, because this is a plus 25 district. So in order for me to, win this election, it's going to take 44% of Kamala voters. You can't say Al Green voters because he went unopposed. So I need 44% of Democrat and independent voters to swing over. If I
Mm.
get those numbers swing over along with our Republican support, oh, victory is there. Okay.
Okay.
So our message, our campaign is about inclusion, bringing everyone together as one, leading
Mhm.
as one, carry message that we integrate together. We have folks
Okay.
whom socioeconomic, you know, highs and lows
Mhm.
in this district. And so we have to bring together and listen to everyone. And that's on the path of victory.
What are the major things you want to convince your constituents, your district? Like, that's exactly what I want from my congressman. What is that? What is your plan
We
for
gotta,
victory?
charity begins at home. My mother always said this. Charity always begins at home. Too many times, our congressional members of Congress, and that's on both sides, the Senate and the House of Representatives, so much focus on being a surrogate or being focused on party. They put party, what I'm saying, before, nation or party before their constituents. Here, I'm focused on 100% constituents. Okay. There's a lot of needs. And of course, in Houston Metropolitan, we have flooding issues. We have a lot of projects, a lot of studies that's been done on flood mitigation that needs to get funded. And the Corps of Engineers, along with earmarks from my engagement, we got to get it done. That's part number one. We're in hurricane season as we speak right now. We still have power lines on wood poles all across the city here. And it's like millions of miles of pole lines that every time we have a high, wind weather event, guess what happened? We out of electricity for weeks at a time. But we can easily put those lines underground. That comes from federal engagement. Of course, flood insurance, and homeowner insurance is high. We can create some laws in effect and help out the states and help our insurers to make sure we bring those down the cost. We focus on health insurance, which, yeah, health is great, but health insurance, we got to learn how to walk and chew gum at the same time. Okay. And a lot of our small businesses are insurance, agents and everything else. So we have to do what it takes to lower those costs whatsoever. So it's almost, we've had 20 some years and beyond focus on party and ego and long-term individuals for who serve in long terms. Now we got to get back to the basics and make sure our local needs are met.
Have
And
those
that's my purpose running for Congress.
those are all very, very strong things. Have they been stalled in arguments, or why have they not been fixed by now?
Priority. How can you, if it's not a priority of yours, if you've been in office for so many years, you focus on self. Okay. So
Mm,
why need to be concerned about how it's going to help everyone because everyone doesn't support me. So I'm going to focus on certain social issues that I know I'm going to get guaranteed support. That's the
mm,
current incumbent does. But
mm.
me, I can still walk and chew gum. I can still take care of the needs that the current incumbent take care of, but also
Right.
too, these issues take care of everyone. Okay. He was saying flooding does not have a zip code. It's not specific on zip code. Water going
Right.
to find a way to sell regardless.
Right.
Power lines, power is going to go out regardless. So we have to focus on tabletop issues that affect the everyday lives. And
Yeah.
so, no, it's not an argument situation to stall because earmarks is all about relationships with the agencies to make sure the fact that you get those earmarks done. Yes, a bureaucratic process, but you
Yeah.
got to be persistent with it. But the current
Dick,
congressman who sits on the seat, Bruce,
yeah.
is not focused on that this time.
You mentioned an elected position that you've had for how long, and what exactly is that office?
Yeah, so at Harris County Municipal Utility District, so we are the unincorporated areas. So there's in the state of Texas, you have to have government in all levels.
Right.
So you have, for instance, you have the city take care of the issues in the city limits. Then you have the county take care of their responsibilities, and then of course there's shared responsibilities with the municipal utility districts. So it's similar as a city council, but it's not in incorporated areas.
A
So we take care of
municipal city district.
municipal
You're
utility district.
right. And what's
Exactly.
your position in that district?
I'm a board member.
Board member. How long have you been doing that?
Going on my fourth year.
Fourth year. Did you win one or two elections so far for that?
This is my first election. My first election,
Okay.
won that
The
fair and square.
the
Mhm.
term is how long?
4 years.
4 year. Okay. So
Mhm.
is 25 another election for
Mhm.
that?
No,
All right.
it's coming up next year. Coming up next year. So I'm
In
ready for that.
26
It's
there's
26,
there's
26.
another election for the
Mhm.
municipal district. Are you
Mhm.
for but you're foregoing that to focus on your
Yeah,
congressional
I'm
campaign?
focused on Congress. Yeah, focus on Congress. Yeah.
Right, very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
What else would you add to the watchers and the listeners in your district to say that's what I want in a congressman?
Like I said earlier, we do a lot of talking, but we don't listen. And also, too, it's not about fighting. Fighting is a cover, of not getting things done because you don't have relationships. Um, I don't care who's the president. It could be our current president, Donald Trump. It could be another president after Donald Trump, because there will be another president, saying in several years from now, in a couple of years from now. So whoever the next president is, I would have a relationship with that administration, with the chief of staff, and that president itself to make
Mhm.
sure the needs of the Ninth District, Houston Metroplex, Texas, and last our nation is taken care of. That's the priorities. Too many times we have people that really don't know what they talk about. They really don't know what they're doing. And they're leading you because they focus on your fears and making you mad, getting you excited by being upset and mad. Now,
Hmm.
those days are over. Let's focus on being happy and being blessed and being appreciative and grateful on
Yeah.
what we can do for and what this country has done for you and what we can do for you as well.
Deddrick, tell everyone your campaign website so they can learn all about you.
WilmerForTexas.com. WILMER for Texas.com.
And I really encourage everyone to go there. I really enjoyed how you explained what the major priorities are for you, and equally as much your bio, your accomplishments, and your personality, the very personal things that you include to get to know you. I was so charmed. I laughed out loud at the bottom of it when I got to the end of some of the like your favorite this, that, or the other thing. I thought, oh, this guy is just completely lovable. So uh,
Thank you.
and that's worth a lot because it's a people thing. Every business is a people business, even politics, believe it or not. And what would you say about all that?
Bruce, it's all about transparency and understanding, is I'm no different from you. Regardless if you're from the state of Washington or you in Broward County in Florida, or you in El Paso County in Texas, or you in Calcasieu Parish in Louisiana, or you in Des Moines, Iowa. We're all the same people. We're all as one. The problem is that our culture now has got so divided, so cynical, and that we forgot about what a true American values is the pursuit of happiness. And it should not just be a pursuit, it should be a continuation of it. And that starts from myself. It starts from our leaders. Even though, change go from the bottom up. But again, leaders sets the tone on everything. And like I said on our campaign ad, I'm here to bring a change to Washington, but it's to bring back Washington what it was back in the 90s, where all members of Congress had one goal, was to serve the American people as best as their ability.
You asked about our founder and president at the American Small Business League here earlier, Lloyd Chapman, and you just reminded me. He likes to say in conversation, Trump wants to make America great again. When was again?
Mhm.
And he said, "Is it when we had a surplus, weren't in debt, there wasn't so much terrorism, there wasn't so much wars?" He said that was the Clinton administration, and now you just said the '90s as a different kind of example. So it just reminded me of good old Lloyd. I'd like to swing it into the problem we want you to study
Mhm.
henceforth, and then get back to me and say, Bruce, I want to know more about this because I want you to consider it as a very winning uh, empowerment for you, which is the fact that by law, 23% of all federal contracts are supposed to go to small businesses. This was established in 1953. The Small Business Act created the Small Business Administration, and then it said a fair portion. And over the decades, it's become codified as 23%. And every year, the SBA and the federal government announces, we met that goal. We exceeded that goal. How about our loans? Let's talk about our loans. Get a loan from the SBA. They focus on the loans, and that's it. But 35 years ago, Lloyd Chapman, our founder and president, won a legal battle because he wanted to know what companies got those small business contracts. Pentagon, I think the Pentagon was one of the first legal victories he had. And he had to pry it out of them in court. And it was revealed whatever the goal for that one major project was, it was something like 16th of 100ths of 1%, tiny, really went to legitimate small businesses. And the contract really went to huge corporations. Now we've won 100 legal victories. We've even inspired congressional investigations 20 years ago, 15 years ago. On its own, Congress has investigated this many, many times. On its own, the SBA's Inspector General has studied this and reported the vast majority of federal contracts really go to the 1/10 of 1% of American firms that are big businesses. 99.9% of all firms in America are small businesses with less than 500 employees. 98% have 100 or less. That's what we consider a legitimate small business is no more than 100 employees. And all those studies and revelations, Deddrick, persuade us that real small businesses really get about 3% of federal contracts. And the vast majority go to 1/10 of 1% that are big businesses, which deprives us of about $300 billion in work in contracts that should be going to small businesses who would create about 2 million new jobs every year to perform that work. The big businesses that get the contracts, they're big. They don't create one new job. It would be an economic boom and stimulus of gargantuan proportions. It would double the new jobs every year because America typically creates anyway around 2 million new jobs. If the contracts actually went to our small businesses, if a president would admit this, if Kelly Loeffler, the SBA administrator, admitted this, cleaned up, exposed this, and made sure that small businesses really got the contracts, instead of 2 million new jobs every year, America would create 4 million. But wait, there's more. Here's the tip of the spear. Under the laws and rules and regs, women are supposed to get 5% of federal contracts. Screeching halt, full stop. Excuse me? Women are half the population. They own 42% of all businesses. Is 5% right or fair in 2025? Between now and next November 26, we want to create 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 new Congress members and more who are pushing for this. If small businesses got not 3%, but the full 23%, that extra 20% is the 2 million new jobs I talked about before. If simultaneously they raised the goal for women from 5 to 25%, which may not even be fair given they are half the population, but that's another 20% going to small businesses. So that would be 4 million new jobs on top of the 2 million we normally create. Now we're off the charts with prosperity and economic boom. This is deficit neutral, not any new taxes, no new spending in order to transform this and make this happen. Who's the enemy? Who would resist this? The entrenched giant corporations and financial institutions who have decades of the relationships, the rules, regs, etc., that have allowed this to happen. This is a giant elephant in the room that we encourage you to deeply consider. In my letter to you in my email, I have about 6 sources at the bottom. There's tons more to verify this on our website. We need to make that better organized so you can clickety click more easily find the documentation of this very controversial accusation that I'm explaining. Because if you Google search these things, you're going to see the total opposite. You're going to see the official story. We met the goal, everything's fine. Nothing to see here, folks. So, Deddrick, what do you make about all that?
Bruce, it goes back to, the House Committee. Roger Williams, he sits over the House Committee for Small Businesses. It goes to that Grangler. I mean, to him. Okay, he's over the committee, and his opportunity to bring the awareness to himself as chairman and all the other ranking members and members of that committee.
Yep.
Okay, to make sure they're aware of what is the current policy in the book. Okay? Of course, and also too, you got to go to the gatekeeper, the GSA. Okay, the GSA, along with of course, they one who manages the actual contracts. Okay, then the SBA is just a data collector, and SBA always going to push the loans. Okay,
Right. They want you to
push
think that the SBA is just all about loans. They really don't
loans.
want, they don't want small
Yeah,
businesses to know there are contracts I could apply for.
yeah.
How do I apply for those? They don't
But
really talk about the contracts.
But that goes back to me as a congressman. If I'm the congressman, and then I'm speaking if I'm the congressman at this time, the ninth district, if I'm a congressman, it is my responsibility to let my constituents know. And me being a small businessman, okay, so again, I'm on the team because I'm running a small business for the last 6 years. I've worked in corporate America for almost 30 and run my small business for 6. So in dynamic is to let folks know, hey, I could create a website. You could go to this website and say, here's all the government contracts
Mm,
based on from Laplace, Louisiana, all the way to Spokane, Washington. And if you want to put the bidding process in order to obtain that contract, and what is the specs that's
thank you.
required? Is it
Thank
based
you.
on net worth, based on the amount of employees, based on whether support
All right.
is? And I
Ted,
think there's no central database that's need to be out there that's presented.
you're
That's what they
going,
should.
you're going to, you could take this into the end zone because when I go to the SBA.gov to study
Mhm.
how does one learn what contracts are available
Mhm.
and how does one apply for them, clickety clickety click, all of a sudden I'm on different websites and I've even lost my train of thought. What am I looking for? It's not easy. If you created some kind of a news site or a portal or passed a law that required the SBA to have a crystal clear path on their website, it would
Mhm.
go far towards solving this entire mess that I'm talking about.
That's correct, 100%, 100%.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that comes back again. And you don't have enough members of Congress. I mean, Washington can only do so much. And that's why you have 435 members of Congress and 100 members in the Senate, which is 535 members. It's a lot of folks to carry information. But the priority is not to give information or to even, they don't probably even know or could even care less. Okay. So you almost have to get me, if I'm on this committee, I would make sure the fact that I will ask the SBA, I will ask the GSA to make sure the fact that any individual in this nation, all hundreds of millions of Americans, can access this database to know what's out there, to give every person, every American a shot to get that contract and be
We
a fair process to get that contract.
we want to equip, empower you as much as possible, as much as it takes for you to get so certain about what I'm asserting here that you can confidently open your mouth about it as you're campaigning, put it on your campaign site, and then tell us, is this the best thing that ever happened for your campaign? Or is it the worst? Because there are huge entrenched interests that have blocked and thwarted our public relations efforts. We used to be on the media all the time. Lloyd Chapman, our founder, used to
Mhm.
put out a press release about a new victory or a new, contract that got exposed as going to a big business instead of a small business. And the next day he'd be invited on CNN, Fox,
Mhm.
MSNBC, C-SPAN. And around 2012, 2013, we stopped getting phone calls, we stopped getting emails, and we know that we are canceled, blacklisted, etc. So that's why I'm just forewarning
I
you
mean,
because if you get this mayor, this is where courage comes in for you to take this road
mhm.
tested and see what happens. See what happens.
And I mean, I have no fear. I have a mama mentality of the late Kobe Bryant. I'm not here to be I'm here to serve. And I run a small business, so it's intimate to me. and realizing again is the fact that is, yeah, we all know, there's picks and chooses on relationships on who we would like to have. If you deny that, then you live in a sea of denial. Okay, and it's not just the river in Egypt, like I always say. But at the same time, again, we want transparency. We want everyone to be part of the process. Again, make the bidding process public.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And
Thank you.
GSA can monitor that. It could be SBA can own that, GSA can own that. Somebody can own it, but it can be monitored. So if I
Oh,
or
yeah.
anyone want to see if Gumbo Lending want to be to be the mortgage banker for the Pentagon, because the
Hmm.
Pentagon they credit you, but they're no mortgage banker, and they open a bidding process.
Yeah.
I could see from start, like a bill go through Congress, all
Right.
the way down to completion, it might have been accepted. No
Right.
any other type of business. And so it just all comes back again, is getting into members like myself, future members of Congress and or in the Senate, to be able to carry that out. Now, I don't know if I get a committee assignment. But regardless, if I don't get a committee assignment to the committee or not, I can still write the bill. Okay. I can still, ask for,
Yeah.
transparency on why we can't create this process.
And
And my question to Bruce, is there a
yep.
process? Because I've never seen it. Is there a process for the GSA that actually show you what bids out there in a bidding process that's combined from all government agencies today? I
Well,
never seen it. Is there
no,
out there?
and
I
that's
don't
what
want to misspeak.
well, as
Yeah.
I don't know the GSA as well as I know the SBA. And like I said before, the SBA does not make it easy at all to discover what contracts are applicable for and how does one apply them. In the first letter that I sent you, at the
Hmm.
bottom, there's a bunch of bullet points of what we call our pro small business platform. I'm just going to remind you about a couple of things, and then, thank
Hmm.
you very much for letting me get you up to speed about these things. We would like a new congressman or woman to investigate all of the above that I just said. Have the House and the Senate Small Business Committees know about this, the Government Accountability Office and the SBA Inspector General. Reform and expand the SBA. It's the only agency dedicated to the interests of small business. It's always been demonized and tried to be shrunk by every Republican president and too many Democrats also. Biden and Obama did no better. Bill Clinton was a little good for small businesses. It's to because the SBA we think is being set up to fail. It's being burdened by the student loan portfolio after we are just told it couldn't manage $600 million in loans, but we're going to cut its staff by 43%, which this administration plans to do, but burden it with $1.6 trillion in student loans to manage. Clearly, it's being set up to fail. Any day we expect to hear, oops, that was a mistake. Let's push all of its functions into the Department of Treasury or the Department of Commerce. And lost in the fog of bureaucracy will be this contracting program that the SBA is responsible for. A couple other points, Deddrick, and then I'll let you go. Change the
No,
definition of
no,
a
no.
small
I don't want to
business.
leave.
All right, change the definition. This is what we would have, we would
Hmm.
recommend you or anyone in office to push for. Change the definition of a small business from 500 or less to 100 or less employees. Make public the names of all firms coded as small businesses. That's what we have to sue and to find. And then we get sent documents that are sheet after sheet of all redactions. Why don't they show us the small businesses they gave contracts to? Because they're not small businesses. They're some of the biggest businesses in the world. Support annual recertification of small businesses and introduce legislation to remove large businesses from small business contracting.
We understand there's an issue, but we have a transparency issue, because once it becomes transparent, then everybody can see it, and there's a conscience that's over to make sure the fact that the proper contracts get done.
The Pentagon is the recipient of such a huge part of
Mhm.
the federal budget, and they also spend such a huge part of it. They have been our major nemesis in our legal battles for 30 years.
Mm.
They seem to be the ones who've got the control over the SBA to ensure that we can't see the businesses that get the contracts because the Pentagon has decades long relationships with the biggest corporations out there, and they like things just the way they are. So just heads up
Ruffle the
about
feathers.
that, Deddrick.
And I'm not knocking what the Pentagon doing. That's their processes. The question is that it could be more transparent, what I'm saying, based on
Well,
what needs to be done. So what I'm saying, the fact that it gives everyone the opportunity to be part of it, but it starts at home. It starts with Congress members.
thank
You know what I'm
you.
saying?
And we
So
we
yeah,
yeah, and we've more or less reached the well, you know what? I got to put my glasses on to tell the truth here. Wow, we're within we just hit the exact minute mark of our loose goal for the length of this show.
okay.
So I think we accomplished our major thing was I really wanted to hear what you had to say about why you're running, what you would like to do, and let everyone get to know you and know where to learn more about you. Wilmer4Texas.com, right?
Yeah, womenfortexas.com. And I just want to tell our viewing audience everywhere, please, again, you could contribute to our campaign. Please, we need your support. Again, we're trying to change Washington, bring Washington back to the people, bring transparency, bring collaboration,
Hmm.
bring partnership, and bring bipartisanship. Again, let the
Wow.
talking heads do their job, but bring members of both sides, both chambers of Congress to get things done because this is about you. You do it in your local level. Why can we do it in Washington?
And Dedrick, I just couldn't relate more to what you just said because 99.9% of all businesses in America have 500 or less. 98% have 100 or less employees.
Wow.
So America is its small businesses, meaning you can't make America great again unless you make small businesses great. And we wanted to share with you a single effective issue that would revolutionize the prosperity of our small businesses and America if a president would only admit that the contracts that are supposed to be going to small businesses are going to big businesses and do whatever it takes to give us what's on the books. Just enforce the law and don't lie to us, Mr. President or Ms. Administrator of the SBA, and tell us you're meeting that goal and not prove it. Show us the companies you say are small businesses. Prove the American Small Business League, ASBL.com, wrong if you can.
Most businesses now, and I know the administration would do whatever it takes, and they just need to be aware of the situation. Again, this administration just been in office just for just over 100 days. I have confidence they'll get it together and get back online to make sure that the commitment is to give everyone an opportunity to be part of this process will be done. I'm confident in this administration to make it happen. But let me say this: Generation Z and millennials are big in entrepreneurship. That's what they thrive on. And that's why I say about modernization. We got to modernize this to incorporate not rules and processes and culture 50, 60 years ago. Now we got to do something in this ever changing 21st century world that we live in. And so that again, you have to elect people in Congress that understand that. And that's all it takes. And it starts with me.
Wilmer4Texas.com. I want to really thank you for
Thank you.
this conversation and to be continued. Hang on. After I kill the recording, a couple questions for you. All right. I want to thank you and I want to thank everybody for watching and listening today.